I destroyed my family for one night that should never have happened. What started as an innocent encounter turned into the worst nightmare of my life. And now, he wants everything. My name is Beatrice Miller. I'm 37 years old, an architect, mother to a 12-year-old girl named Sophia, and wife to a man who has barely looked me in the eye for 3 years. I don't know exactly when everything started to fall apart. Maybe it was on that wedding anniversary when Robert arrived 2 hours late, smelling a perfume that wasn't mine. Or maybe it was the night I tried to talk about reconnecting and he just mumbled, "I'm tired, before turning over and falling asleep. The truth is, I had become invisible in my own home. Every morning I woke up at 6, made coffee, took Sophia to school, went to the architecture firm where I worked as a junior partner, rushed back to pick up my daughter, made dinner, helped with homework, put Sophia to bed, and when I finally lay down next to Robert, he was already asleep. Or pretending to be. My life was an automatic sequence of obligations. I was good at it. Good wife. Good mother. Good professional. But beneath that mask of perfection, I was slowly dying. I looked in the mirror and didn't recognize the woman reflected there. When did my eyes lose their sparkle? When did I stop getting ready with care? When did I accept that my sex life amounted to 2 obligatory, mechanical, and empty encounters a month? I was 37 and felt 60. It was in this state of emotional numbness that the event that would change everything occurred. The company I work for, Modern Spaces, managed to close a big contract with a new construction company in town. To celebrate, my boss organized a dinner at a sophisticated restaurant downtown. Robert said he couldn't go because he had an important meeting the next day. He didn't even ask if I wanted him to go. I put on a navy blue dress that had been in my closet for years, applied a discreet lipstick, and went alone. The restaurant was elegant, with dim lights and an intimate atmosphere. My colleagues were already there, chatting animatedly. I greeted everyone and sat at one end of the long table. That's when I saw him. Across the room, standing near the bar, was a tall man with broad shoulders, dark hair slightly graying at the temples, wearing an impeccable gray suit. He was talking to someone, but his eyes met mine for a second. And in that second, something ignited within me. I quickly looked away, feeling my face flush. How ridiculous. I was behaving like a teenager. I tried to focus on the conversation at the table, but my attention kept being drawn in that direction. Every time I looked, he was looking back. My heart was beating faster than it should. Suddenly, he started walking towards us. My stomach tightened. He was coming straight to our table. "Good evening," he said, with a deep, confident voice. "Excuse the intrusion. I'm Thomas Davis, from Davis Developments. We are Modern Spaces' new partners." My boss immediately stood up, effusive. "Thomas. What a pleasant surprise. Please, sit with us." And that's how Thomas Davis, with his confident smile and penetrating gaze, pulled up a chair and sat down right next to me. "Beatrice Miller," I introduced myself, extending my hand. He held my hand firmly, but didn't let go immediately. "Beatrice," he repeated, as if savoring my name. "Pleasure to meet you." Something in the way he said it made me tremble inside. The conversation flowed naturally. Thomas was charismatic, funny, intelligent. He asked genuine questions about my work, my projects, my ideas. He looked me in the eye when I spoke. He made me feel seen. How long had it been since someone made me feel this way? Hours passed without me noticing. Before I knew it, we were the last ones at the table. My colleagues had already left, and Thomas and I were talking about architecture, art, travel, life. You have incredible talent, Beatrice, he said, leaning slightly towards me. I bet your designs are as beautiful as you are. My heart pounded. Thank you, I managed to say, feeling my face burn. He smiled. A slow smile that reached his dark eyes. You know, I remember you. I frowned. What do you mean? St. Jude's High School. You were 2 years below me. I always had a crush on you, but I never had the courage to say anything. My jaw dropped. Thomas Davis, you're that Thomas? He laughed. The very same. Just without the pimples and with a little more confidence now. Memories flooded my mind. Thomas Davis was the quiet, somewhat awkward boy who always sat alone in the library. I didn't even know he knew my name. My God, I barely recognized you, I admitted. Life changes us, he said, and there was something in his eyes I couldn't decipher. Sometimes for the better. Sometimes for the worse. There was a charged silence between us. It's late, I said, looking at my watch. It was almost 11 at night. I need to go. Let me walk you to your car, he offered. I accepted. We walked together to the parking lot. The night was cool, and I felt every inch of distance between our bodies as we walked side by side. When we reached my car, I turned to thank him. And he was so close. So close I could smell his woody cologne, see the small lines around his eyes. Beatrice, he whispered, and my name on his lips sounded like a promise and a damnation. My heart was beating so loudly I was sure he could hear it. I need to go, I repeated, but my voice came out weak, without conviction. I know, he said, but didn't move away. But first, I need to tell you something. What? That I've spent the last 20 years wondering what it would have been like if I'd had the courage to ask you out back then. My stomach nodded. Thomas. And now that I've found you again, I don't want to waste this chance. Even if it's just for coffee. As friends. Friends. The word should have reassured me, but it only intensified the confusion within me. I'm married, I managed to say, though my voice trembled. I know, he replied, taking a step back, respecting my space. And I'm not trying anything inappropriate. I just want to get to know the incredible woman you've become better. If you'll allow me. I should have said no. I should have gotten in my car, gone home, and forgotten that conversation. But I didn't. Coffee, I said. Just coffee. The smile that lit up his face made my stomach flip. Tomorrow? He asked, hopeful. Tomorrow I have meetings all day. Friday then. 7 in the evening. I know a great coffee shop near your office. I should have refused. But I nodded. Friday. When I finally got in the car and drove home, my hands were trembling on the steering wheel. What was I doing? I was making a date with another man. No, it wasn't a date. It was just coffee. Between old schoolmates. Nothing serious. But why was my heart still racing? I arrived home almost midnight. Robert was in the living room, watching television. You're late, he commented, without taking his eyes off the screen. Dinner ran long, I replied, taking off my shoes. That was it. Not a how was it, or I was worried. Just an indifferent I went up to the bedroom, took off my dress, and got in the shower. As the hot water ran down my body, I let the tears fall. Tears of frustration, of loneliness, of longing for something I couldn't name. And of guilt. Because even knowing it was wrong, I couldn't stop thinking about Thomas Davis. The days until Friday dragged agonizingly. I tried to convince myself that I would cancel. I would send a message saying something had come up, that I couldn't go. But I didn't send it. In fact, I found myself choosing an outfit more carefully than usual. I found myself putting on a little perfume. I found myself checking my reflection in the mirror more times than I should have. Sophia noticed. "Mom, you look different," she commented on Thursday night, as we ate dinner. Robert didn't even look up from his phone. "Different how, my love?" I asked, trying to sound casual. "I don't know, prettier. Happier." My heart ached. My 12-year-old daughter had noticed something my husband hadn't seen in years. "I'm just taking better care of myself," I replied, and it wasn't a lie. Friday arrived. The day passed in slow motion. At 6:30, I looked at the clock for the 1000th time. My stomach was churning. There was still time to cancel. But at 7 o'clock sharp, I was walking into the coffee shop Thomas had suggested. It was a cozy place, with comfortable armchairs and soft jazz music in the background. He was already there, sitting at a corner table, and when he saw me, his face lit up in a way that made me feel alive for the first time in years. "I thought you wouldn't come," he admitted when I sat down. "I thought about not coming," I replied honestly. "But you came." "But I came." We ordered coffee. We talked. And it was so natural, so easy. He told me about how he built his business from scratch, about the difficult years, about how he lost his parents young and had to fend for himself. I told him about my architectural dreams, about Sophia, about how lost I felt in my own life. I didn't say much about Robert. But the silence about my marriage said everything. "You deserve to be happy, Beatrice," Thomas said at one point, holding my hand across the table. And when he touched my hand, I felt an electric current shoot up my arm. I should have pulled my hand away. But I didn't. "I don't know what happiness is anymore," I admitted, my voice breaking. "Let me remind you," he whispered. We left the coffee shop at 10 at night. 3 hours had passed like minutes. "Can I see you again?" he asked when we got near my car. "Thomas, please. Just one more time. I need to see you again." There was something in the intensity of his gaze that both frightened and attracted me. "All right," I said, against all my better judgment. "But only as friends." He smiled, but there was something in that smile that should have warned me. "As friends," he agreed. We met again the following Wednesday. And then on Friday. And then on Sunday, when I made up an excuse about going to the office to work on an urgent project. With each encounter, the line between friendship and something more became thinner. The conversations grew more intimate. The touches more frequent. The gazes more prolonged. I knew where it was heading. But I was addicted to the feeling of being seen, desired, important to someone. Robert noticed nothing. Or didn't care. Our routine remained the same, distant, cold, mechanical. It was on the fourth encounter that everything changed. Thomas had reserved a table at a sophisticated restaurant on top of a building. The view was stunning, the food was perfect, the wine was expensive. "Why are you doing all this?" I asked, looking around the luxurious setting. "Because you deserve to be treated like the queen you are," he replied, his eyes fixed on mine. I drank more wine than I should have. I let myself be carried away by the attention, by the evident desire in his gaze, by the fantasy of being important to someone. When the bill came, I was dizzy. Not just from the wine, but from the intensity of that moment. "Let me take you home," Thomas offered. I can call a rideshare, I said, but my voice lacked firmness. B, you've been drinking. I'm not letting you go alone like this. I have an apartment nearby. You can rest a bit, have some coffee, and then I'll call a ride for you. I should have refused. But I nodded. The apartment was modern, elegant, masculine. Large windows showed the illuminated city below. Coffee, he offered. Please. But when he returned from the kitchen, he didn't just bring coffee. He also brought that look that said everything he wanted without needing words. And I, drunk on wine and starved for attention, didn't resist when he approached. I didn't resist when he touched my face. I didn't resist when he kissed me. And I definitely didn't resist when he led me to the bedroom. That night, I betrayed my husband. I betrayed my vows. I betrayed the woman I thought I was. And for a few hours, I felt more alive than I had in years. But when I woke up the next morning, naked in a strange bed, with Thomas sleeping beside me, reality crashed down on me like a ton of bricks. What had I done? I sat up in bed, pulling the sheet to cover my naked body, and guilt crushed me with physical force. Thomas woke up, stretched, and smiled at me as if it were the most natural thing in the world. "Good morning, beautiful," he said, trying to pull me back into bed. I pulled away. "I need to go," I said, looking for my clothes scattered on the floor. "B, calm down. Don't touch me," I screamed, and he raised his hands in surrender. I dressed quickly, my hands trembling so much I could barely button my blouse. "This was a mistake," I said, more to myself than to him. "A terrible mistake." "It wasn't a mistake at all," Thomas replied, now sitting on the bed, watching me with disturbing calm. "It was inevitable. You know that. I'm married. I have a daughter." "And you're unhappy," he retorted. "I saw it in your eyes from day one. You're dying in this marriage. You know nothing about me." "I know more than you think, Beatrice." There was something in the way he said that made me pause. Something cold. Calculated. What does that mean? He stood up, wearing only boxers, and walked towards me with a confidence that scared me. "It means you finally allowed yourself to feel something real. And that's not a mistake. It's an awakening." "I need to go," I repeated, grabbing my purse. "Can I see you again?" "No. This can't happen again. Never again." I ran out of that apartment as if fleeing a fire. In the car, I cried until I had no more tears. Then I called home, making up an excuse about having worked all night at the office and sleeping on the couch. Robert didn't even question it. He just said okay and hung up. That hurt more than it should have. My husband didn't care enough to even be suspicious. I spent the weekend on autopilot. I did everything I always did, took Sophia to dance class, prepared meals, cleaned the house. But inside, I was shattered. Guilt was a constant weight on my chest. Every time I looked at Robert, even with all our distance, I thought, I betrayed him. I'm a horrible person. And every time I looked at Sophia, my heart broke a little more. I blocked Thomas's number. I deleted all our conversations. I promised myself that it would never happen again. But on Monday, when I arrived at the office, there was a huge bouquet of red roses on my desk. My heart pounded. The card read, "You can't run from what we feel. T." I threw the card in the trash and gave the flowers to the receptionist, saying they were from a client. During the day, I received 5 messages from unknown numbers. All from him. "I need to see you. Don't ignore me, Beatrice. What we had was special. You know you want to see me again. Please reply. I blocked all the numbers. But on Wednesday, he showed up at my office. "Mr. Davis," my boss exclaimed, effusive. "What a surprise. Come in, come in." Thomas entered with that confident smile, greeting everyone. But when his eyes met mine, I saw something that chilled me: possessiveness. "I came to see how the residential project is progressing," he said, but he didn't take his eyes off me. My boss, oblivious to the tension, dragged me into the meeting. "Beatrice, can you present the initial concepts to Mr. Davis?" I had no choice. I opened my laptop and started the presentation, trying to keep my voice steady. Throughout the presentation, Thomas looked at me in a way that made my skin crawl. It was no longer a look of desire. It was something darker. When the meeting ended, he asked to speak with me privately about some project details. My boss left, closing the door. We were alone. "Why are you ignoring me?" Thomas asked, and all the gentleness had vanished from his voice. "Because what happened was a mistake that won't be repeated," I replied, keeping my distance. "It wasn't a mistake. And you know that." "Thomas, I'm married. I have a life." That was a night of weakness that means nothing. His face contorted into something ugly. "Means nothing?" he repeated, taking a step towards me. "You moaned my name all night. Begged for more. And now it means nothing?" I felt my face flush with shame and anger. "Get out of my office." "Or what? You'll tell your husband? Your colleagues?" Imagine the scene: Beatrice Miller, the exemplary wife, cheating on her husband with a client. My blood ran cold. "Are you threatening me?" He smiled. A cold smile that didn't reach his eyes. "I'm just reminding you that what happened between us isn't just your secret. It's ours. And secrets have power, Beatrice." "Get out," I repeated, now trembling with fear and anger. He walked to the door, but before leaving, he turned. "Think carefully before you ignore me again. You won't like the consequences." And he left, leaving me alone and terrified. That night, I received a message from a new unknown number. It was a photo. A photo of us in bed, that night. My world collapsed. Below the photo, a message: "Beautiful, isn't it? It would be a shame if someone saw this. Meet me tomorrow at 8 p.m. at the same restaurant. And come alone." I dropped my phone on the floor, my whole body trembling. What started as an emotional awakening had turned into a nightmare. And I had no idea how to get out of it. I spent the entire night sleepless, staring at that photo on my phone, my stomach churning. How had he taken that photo? When? Had it all been planned from the beginning? The questions spun in my head nonstop. At 6 in the morning, Robert came down for coffee and found me sitting in the kitchen, with deep dark circles under my eyes. "You look terrible," he commented, pouring coffee. "Didn't sleep well." "Take some medicine," was his reply before grabbing his cup and going back up to the bedroom. Not even a "Are you okay?" or "Can I help?" Just indifference. And for the first time, that indifference didn't hurt me. It infuriated me. I was being blackmailed, terrified, destroyed inside, and my husband noticed nothing. I took Sophia to school as usual, but I could barely focus on what she was saying. "Mom, are you listening to me?" she asked, frowning. "Sorry, honey. What did you say?" "Forget it," she replied, hurt, getting out of the car. I was losing my daughter too. I was losing everything. At 7:30 that night, I parked in front of the restaurant. My hands were sweating. My heart was pounding erratically. I walked in and saw him at the same table as before. Only now, there was nothing charming about that man. Just fear. I sat across from him without saying anything. "You look beautiful," he said, as if we were a normal couple on a normal date. "What do you want?" I asked, my voice coming out firmer than I expected. He leaned forward, his eyes fixed on mine. "I want you. Obviously. You blackmailed me into coming here." "Blackmail is such an ugly word," he said, smiling. "I prefer to call it incentive. Delete that photo. Now." "Or what?" he challenged. "What exactly are you going to do, Beatrice?" My throat tightened. "Please," I whispered, hating the desperation in my voice. "Please, delete it." "I can do that," he said, leaning back in his chair. "But I need something in return." "What?" "End your marriage. Be with me." My jaw dropped. "Are you crazy? I have a daughter. And she'll adapt. Kids are resilient. I'm not going to destroy my family because of one night's mistake." His face hardened. "One night's mistake," he repeated, his voice low and dangerous. "You moaned my name. Begged me. Told me you'd never felt anything like it. And now it's just a mistake?" "It was. It was a terrible mistake that I deeply regret." He picked up his phone and started typing something. "What are you doing?" I asked, terrified. "Seeing who I should send this photo to first." "Your husband? Your boss? Maybe your daughter, so she knows what kind of mother she has?" My blood ran cold. "Don't you dare," I said, my voice trembling with anger and fear. "Then give me what I want." "I can't." "Yes, you can. It's just a choice. Me or the destruction of your life." Tears burned my eyes. "Why are you doing this?" For the first time I saw something close to real emotion on his face. But it wasn't love. It was obsession. "Because I spent 20 years thinking about you. I built an empire thinking that one day I would be good enough for you. And when I finally found you again, you were even more perfect than I remembered. I won't let you escape again. This isn't love, Thomas. It's sick obsession. Call it what you want. But you will be mine. One way or another." I stood up, trembling. "I'm going home. To my family. And you're going to delete that photo and never contact me again." He laughed. A cold laugh that sent shivers down my spine. "You have until Friday to make a decision. Either you break up with your husband and come to me, or that photo will circulate throughout the city. Your choice." I ran out of that restaurant, got in my car, and drove aimlessly, just driving, crying, trying to process the nightmare my life had become. Eventually, I stopped in an empty parking lot and called the only person I could still trust. "Hello?" Isabel, my best friend since college, answered sleepily. I sobbed. "I messed everything up. I messed everything up. B? What happened? Where are you? I did something terrible. And now I'm being blackmailed and I don't know what to do." "Where are you?" she repeated, now fully awake. I gave her the address and 20 minutes later, Isabel was in my car, hugging me as I told her everything. Every humiliating detail. When I finished, she was pale. "This man is dangerous, B. Very dangerous." "I know. But what do I do? If he sends that photo?" "You need to tell Robert." "I can't. It will destroy my family." Your family is already destroyed, she said, gently but firmly. You said it yourself, you're two strangers living in the same house. And now you're being blackmailed by a psychopath. Robert needs to know. What if he hates me? What if Sophia finds out? Sophia won't find out. And as for Robert, he can also help you. This man is committing a crime, B. Blackmail is a crime. If I report him, the photo will leak anyway. Not necessarily. But you need help. You can't face this alone. She was right. I knew she was. But the idea of looking into Robert's eyes and saying I cheated on you was almost impossible to bear. I arrived home almost 2 a.m. The house was silent. I went upstairs and found Robert still awake, reading something on his tablet. We need to talk, I said, my voice trembling. He looked up, and for the first time in years, he really looked at me. He saw the tears, the despair, the fear. What happened? He asked, sitting up in bed. I took a deep breath. And I told him everything. I told him everything. Every painful word. Every humiliating detail. Robert listened in silence. His face went through several expressions: shock, pain, anger, and finally, something I couldn't identify. When I finished, the silence in the room was deafening. Say something, I pleaded, tears streaming down my face. He ran a hand through his hair, taking a deep breath. You cheated on me, he said, his voice low and controlled. You slept with another man. I know. And I regret it so much. Regret it, he repeated, with a bitter laugh. You think regret fixes this? No. But I don't know what else to do. He's blackmailing me, Robert. He has a photo. He'll destroy everything if I don't stay with him. Robert stood up and started pacing back and forth. This guy is sick. Completely sick. I know. And you went to his bed. Every word was a stab. I was lost. Feeling invisible. He made me feel seen for the first time in years. Robert stopped and looked at me with an intensity that made me recoil. Invisible? He said, his voice rising. You felt invisible? Yes. When was the last time you really looked at me? Touched me? Asked me how I was? I work 60 hours a week to keep this house. To give you and Sophia a good life. I don't want a good life. I want a present husband. And I wanted a faithful wife. Silence fell again, heavy and painful. Robert sat on the edge of the bed, his head in his hands. I cheated on you too, he said, his voice so low I almost didn't hear it. My heart stopped. What? 2 years ago. With a colleague from work. It lasted 6 months. I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. You, 2 years? I ended it. It meant nothing. It was just. I don't know. Loneliness, maybe. Loneliness, I repeated, incredulous. We were married. We had a daughter. And you were always so busy. So focused on being the perfect mother, the perfect professional. There was nothing left for me. So it's my fault? My voice was rising. You cheated on me and it's my fault? No. That's not what I'm saying. It's just, we both got lost, B. At some point, we stopped being a couple and just became roommates. Tears streamed down my face. And now? What do we do now? Robert took a deep breath. Now? We need to deal with this psychopath who's blackmailing you. After that we'll think about the rest. You're not going to leave me? He looked at me with deep sadness. I don't know, B. Honestly, I don't know. But Sophia is sleeping in the next room. And there's a dangerous man threatening our family. So let's deal with that first. I nodded, wiping away my tears. What do we do? We go to the police. What about the photo? Screw the photo, he said, and I rarely heard him swear. I'd rather deal with the shame than let this guy keep threatening you. The next morning, we went to the police station together. We filed a report for blackmail and threats. The detective, a middle-aged man with tired eyes, listened carefully. This type of case is complicated, he explained. He can claim you had a consensual relationship. But blackmail isn't consensual, Robert argued. True. We'll investigate. We need all messages, emails, any communication you have with him. I showed him everything. Every threatening message. The photo. Everything. I'll need you to have no further contact with him, the detective instructed. If he contacts you, document it but don't respond. I agreed. We left the police station with a mixed feeling of relief and apprehension. Now what? I asked Robert as we walked back to the car. Now you won't go to work for a few days. You'll stay home with Sophia. And I'll talk to a lawyer. What if he shows up? He won't. Men like him are cowards. When they realize they've lost control, they back down. But Robert was wrong. On Wednesday, I went back to the office for an important meeting I couldn't miss. I was careful, always accompanied, never alone. But when I returned to the parking lot at the end of the day, I found my car. Someone had scratched a word on the hood, whore. My blood ran cold. I looked around, but the parking lot was empty. With trembling hands, I took a photo and sent it to the detective and to Robert. Robert called me immediately. Get out of there now. I'm coming to pick you up. He's following me, Robert. He knows where I am. Stay inside the building. Don't leave. I'm on my way. 20 minutes later, Robert arrived with a friend of his. They escorted me to Robert's car and his friend took my car to the repair shop. He's escalating, Robert said as he drove. We need a restraining order. The detective said he would request one. It's not fast enough. When we got home, Sophia was doing homework in the living room. Why did Dad pick you up? She asked, curious. My car had a problem, I lied, forcing a smile. She frowned, but didn't press. That night, I could barely sleep. Every noise made me jump. Every shadow was a threat. Robert slept in the guest room. We hadn't discussed it, but we both knew it was necessary. On Thursday, I received a message from an unknown number. I thought we were friends, Beatrice. But you went to the police. That wasn't nice. Now things are going to get harder. My heart pounded. I showed it to Robert. He's bluffing, Robert said, but I saw the fear in his eyes. What if he's not? Then we'll protect our family. At all costs. But that night, we discovered Thomas wasn't bluffing. At 10 at night, the doorbell rang. Robert went to answer, I followed him. It was the police. Mr. Robert Miller? The officer asked. Yes? We need you to come with us. There's a complaint of assault against you. My world spun. Assault? I didn't assault anyone. A man named Thomas Davis filed a complaint saying you physically assaulted him this afternoon. That's a lie. I screamed. My husband was with me all day. Ma'am, please calm down. We need to clarify this at the station. Robert looked at me, his eyes full of impotent rage. It's okay, he said. It's just a misunderstanding. I'll sort it out. But as I watched him being led away by the police, I knew this was just the beginning. Thomas was playing his game. And we were losing. Sophia appeared at the top of the stairs, rubbing her eyes. Mom, what's happening? Why did the police take Dad? My heart broke seeing the fear in my daughter's eyes. It was just a misunderstanding, my love. Dad will be back soon. But why? What did he do? Nothing. He didn't do anything. Now go back to bed, okay? I'll handle this. She hesitated, but eventually went upstairs. I knew she wasn't convinced. I immediately called Isabel, who arrived in 15 minutes to stay with Sophia while I went to the police station. When I arrived, I found Robert sitting in a room, visibly exhausted. He accused me of going to his office and assaulting him, Robert explained. He even has photos. A black eye, cuts on his face. That's impossible. You were with me. I know that. You know that. But he has proof. Photos with date and time from today at 3 in the afternoon. It's a lie. He hurt himself on purpose or paid someone to hurt him. The detective entered the room. Mr. Miller, can your wife confirm that you were with her today at 3 o'clock? Yes. He was home, working remotely. I saw him. Do you have any way to prove that? Security cameras? Witnesses? My heart sank. We didn't have cameras. And Robert had worked alone in his home office. I don't have physical proof, but I know he was there. I understand, the detective said, unconvinced. Mr. Miller, I'm releasing you for now, but you cannot leave the city. The investigation is ongoing. We left the police station almost midnight. Robert was tense, his hands clenched into fists. He's setting up a scenario, Robert said as we drove. He's making it look like I'm the aggressor. We need a lawyer. A good one. I already called Mark. He specializes in criminal cases. He'll help us. When we got home, Sophia was awake, waiting. Dad, she ran to hug him. Are you okay? I am, Princess. It was just a misunderstanding. But she looked at us with those perceptive 12-year-old eyes and said, You're lying to me. Something is wrong. Very wrong. Robert and I exchanged glances. Sophia. I began. I heard you talking, she admitted. I know there's a dangerous man. And I know Mom did something that made Dad sad. My heart broke. Sophia. You don't have to explain, she said, with a maturity she shouldn't have at 12. I just want you both to be okay. And if you think I need to leave to be safe, then I will. I hugged my daughter, crying. I love you so much. So much. And I'm so sorry for all of this. I love you too, Mom. That night, the three of us slept together in the master bed. Sophia between us, holding our hands. And for a few hours, we pretended we were a normal family. On Friday morning, I received a call from a private investigator named Veronica. Mrs. Miller, the detective passed your case to me. I have experience with blackmail and stalking cases. I can help you. Please, I pleaded. He's destroying our lives. I'll investigate his past. Men like him rarely have only one victim. If we find a pattern, we can prove he's the aggressor, not you. How long will it take? A few days. In the meantime, keep your distance. Document everything. And install security cameras at home. I followed her advice. Robert installed cameras throughout the house. We hired a private security guard to keep an eye on Sophia as she went to and from school. But Thomas was always one step ahead. On Sunday, Sophia was in her room when we heard the gate open. We rushed to the window and saw Thomas casually walking towards the house. "Call the police," Robert shouted, running downstairs. I opened the door before he could ring the doorbell. "Get off my property," Robert said, his voice firm. Thomas smiled. "I just came to bring a gift for Sophia. I heard she loves books." My blood ran cold. He knew about my daughter. He knew her tastes. "Don't you dare say her name," I said, my voice trembling with anger. "Relax, Beatrice. I'm just being friendly. After all, I'll soon be part of the family." "You're crazy," Robert spat. "Get out of here before I make you leave." Thomas laughed. "Going to assault me? Again? This time there's a camera," he pointed to our security camera. "So go ahead. Give me a reason." The police arrived at that moment. Thomas raised his hands, innocent. "Officers. Glad you're here. I was just trying to make amends, but this man threatened me. He trespassed on our property." I screamed. "I didn't trespass," Thomas said calmly. "The gate was open. I came in to ring the doorbell." "Is that a crime now?" The officers looked at us, clearly confused about who was telling the truth. "Mr. Davis, I need you to leave," one of the officers said. "And don't come back here without authorization." "Of course, officer. Sorry for the trouble." He walked towards the gate, but before leaving, he turned and looked directly at me. "See you soon, Beatrice." "Very soon." When the police left, I collapsed on the living room floor, sobbing. Robert sat beside me and, for the first time in weeks, hugged me. "We're going to stop this guy," he promised. "One way or another." On Monday, Veronica called. "I found something," she said, her voice tense. Thomas Davis was married 5 years ago. His wife died under suspicious circumstances. A fall down the stairs. Her family always suspected murder, but they could never prove anything. My blood ran cold. He killed his wife? There's no concrete proof. But there's more. After that, there were 2 other women who filed complaints against him. One for stalking, another for assault. Both withdrew their complaints later. I suspect intimidation. So he has a history. Yes. And I'm trying to locate these women to talk to them. If they agree to testify. He's dangerous. Much more dangerous than we thought. That's exactly why I need you all to be very careful. Men like him, when cornered, can do anything. I hung up the phone with trembling hands. Robert was beside me. "What is it?" I told him everything. His face paled. "He killed his wife?" "Veronica thinks so." "My God, B. What have we done?" "I know," I whispered. "I know." On Tuesday, Veronica managed to locate one of the women who had filed a complaint against Thomas. Her name was Amanda. She agreed to meet us at a discreet coffee shop. I went with Isabel. Robert stayed home with Sophia. Amanda was a woman in her 40s, beautiful, but with eyes that carried deep trauma. "Thank you for agreeing to talk to us," I said as soon as we sat down. She nodded, nervously stirring her coffee cup. "When Veronica called me and told me about you, I knew I had to help. I don't want anyone else to go through what I went through. What did he do to you? Amanda took a deep breath. I met Thomas 3 years ago. I was a financial consultant and he hired my services. At first, it was professional. Then, he started flirting. I was coming out of a divorce, vulnerable. He was charming, attentive, everything I needed at that moment. My stomach tightened. It was exactly what had happened to me. We went out a few times. It was wonderful. He made me feel special. But after the first night together, everything changed. He became possessive. He wanted to know where I was all the time. He called 10, 15 times a day. Showed up at my work without warning. And when you tried to break up? She visibly trembled. He didn't accept it. Said I was his. That no one else could have me. He started following me. Broke into my apartment. Destroyed my things. And when I filed the complaint. She stopped, tears streaming down. What happened? Isabel asked gently. He showed up at my house. Came in through the back window. And, her voice broke, he beat me. Badly. Said if I didn't withdraw the complaint, he would kill me. I felt nauseous. And you withdrew it? Yes. I was terrified. After that, I moved to another city. Changed my name. Started over. I spent 2 years looking over my shoulder, afraid of seeing him appear. Amanda, would you testify against him? I asked. She hesitated, fear evident in her eyes. He'll kill me if I do. He's already threatening my family, I said. My 12-year-old daughter. If we don't stop him now, he'll keep doing this to other women. Amanda was silent for a long moment. Finally, she nodded. All right. I'll testify. But you need to protect me. We will, I promised, though I didn't know how I would keep that promise. With Amanda's testimony, Veronica managed to convince the detective to open a deeper investigation into Thomas. But that only enraged him more. On Thursday, as Isabel was leaving work, she was approached in the parking lot. By Thomas. She called me immediately, terrified. He found me. He knew my name, where I work, everything. Are you okay? Did he hurt you? No. But he gave me a message for you. Said you have until Saturday to change your mind. Or he'll handle things his way. Those were his words. My heart pounded. I'm calling the police. I already did. But this guy isn't bluffing. I saw it in his eyes. He's capable of anything. When I told Robert, he turned pale. We need to get Sophia out of here. Send her away until this is over. Where to? My sister lives in Portland. She can stay there for a few weeks. But she'll ask why. She'll be scared. I'd rather she be scared and alive than risk it, Robert said, his voice firm. He was right. That night, we talked to Sophia. Princess, you're going to spend a few weeks with Aunt Paula, Robert said. Why? I don't want to. I have school. It's just temporary. Until we sort out some problems here. What problems? That man, she asked, and I was surprised by her perception. Robert and I exchanged glances. Sophia. I began. I heard you talking, she admitted. I know there's a dangerous man. And I know Mom did something that made Dad sad. My heart broke. Sophia. You don't have to explain, she said, with a maturity she shouldn't have at 12. I just want you both to be okay. And if you think I need to leave to be safe, then I will. I hugged my daughter, crying. I love you so much. So much. And I'm so sorry for all of this. I love you too, Mom. On Friday morning, we put Sophia on a plane to Portland. I watched my daughter leave with a broken heart, but with the certainty that I was doing the right thing. Now, Robert and I were alone to face Thomas. Saturday arrived. His deadline. At 8 in the morning, I received a message. Last chance, Beatrice. Meet me at the address below. Noon. Alone. Or everyone will see who you really are. Attached was an address for an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of the city. I showed it to Robert. You're not going, he said immediately. He won't stop, Robert. I need to end this. It's an obvious trap. I know. That's why I'm going to use it. I called Veronica and explained the plan. It's dangerous, she warned. Everything in this situation is dangerous. But if I go, wearing a recorder, and can get him to confess to the threats, the blackmail, maybe even about his wife, we'll have concrete proof. What if he hurts you? Or worse? The police will be nearby. You'll protect me. Veronica hesitated, but agreed. At 11:30, I put on the discreet microphone Veronica gave me. The police were already positioned near the warehouse. Robert hugged me tight before I left. If something goes wrong, run. Just run. I'll be fine. Beatrice. He held my face in his hands. I still love you. Despite everything. And I want you to know that. Tears filled my eyes. I love you too. I drove to the warehouse, my heart pounding erratically. It was an isolated place, surrounded by empty lots. I parked and got out of the car. The place was too silent. Thomas? I called, my voice echoing. He appeared from the warehouse entrance, smiling. I knew you'd come. I always knew. What do you want from me? I already told you. I want you. All of you. What if I say no? He walked until he was a few inches from me. Then I'll destroy everything you love. Your husband will go to prison for the assault I invented. Your daughter will grow up knowing her mother is a whore. And you'll live with that guilt forever. You're a monster. He laughed. I am what you made me. I spent 20 years dreaming of you. I built an empire thinking that one day I would be worthy of you. And when I finally had you in my arms, you threw me away like trash. No one rejects me, Beatrice. What happened to your wife? I asked, trying to provoke him. His face hardened. What? Your wife. The one who died in the stair fall. It was you, wasn't it? His eyes narrowed dangerously. Be careful what you say, Beatrice. It was you, wasn't it? I insisted, needing him to confess. She found out who you really were. Wanted to leave you. And you didn't let her. She was weak, he spat, his face contorted in rage. She kept crying, saying she was afraid of me. Afraid? Of me, who gave her everything. So you killed her. She fell, he said, but there was a sinister smile on his lips. It was an accident. At least that's what everyone believed. My blood ran cold. He had just confessed. What about the others? Amanda? The woman who disappeared? Amanda was smart. She ran before I had to deal with her problem. As for the other one, He shrugged, sometimes people just disappear. Nausea overwhelmed me. He had killed. Not one, but possibly 2 women. You're recording this, aren't you? He asked suddenly, and my heart stopped. What? No. In a swift movement, he pulled me close and ripped the microphone from inside my blouse. Do you think I'm an idiot? He roared, crushing the device under his foot. The police are here. I screamed. They heard everything. No, they didn't, he said, pulling a device from his pocket. Signal jammer. Nothing we said went beyond this range. Pure panic seized me. Thomas. You did this to me, he said, gripping my arm tightly. You gave me hope. Made me believe I'd finally have what I always wanted. And then you threw me away like trash. Let me go. He dragged me inside the warehouse. It was dark, smelled of mold and abandonment. You know what I'm going to do now? He asked, his voice echoing in the empty walls. I'm going to have you. Here. Now. And then, I'm going to make sure you never reject me again. Terror dominated me. You won't get away with this, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. The police know I'm here. And when they come in, they'll find a disturbed woman who hurt herself. Trying to incriminate me. After all, I already have a history of being a victim of your aggressive husband, remember? He was crazy. Completely crazy. I tried to run, but he pulled me back, throwing me against the wall. Where do you think you're going? I looked around desperately, searching for anything I could use as a weapon. There were rusty metal bars on the floor. When he approached again, I quickly bent down and grabbed one of the bars. Don't come near me. I screamed, brandishing the bar. He laughed. Going to hit me? You? Sweet Beatrice? If I have to, yes. He lunged. Instinctively, I swung the bar. I hit his shoulder. He cried out in pain and rage. You bitch. I ran towards the exit, but he grabbed me by the hair, pulling me back with brutal force. I fell to the ground, the bar slipping from my hand. He stood over me, his eyes wild. Now you've paid me back, he said, his hands going to my neck. I couldn't breathe. I tried to scratch his face, kick, anything. My vision began to darken. Suddenly, I heard a shout. Get off her. Robert. He threw himself on Thomas, pulling him off me. The 2 rolled on the floor, exchanging punches. I coughed, trying to catch my breath, my throat burning. B.A., run. Robert shouted as he fought. But I couldn't leave him. Not like this. I grabbed the metal bar again and, when Thomas managed to position himself over Robert, ready to strike him, I screamed. Thomas. He turned. And I hit the side of his head with the bar with all the strength I had. He staggered, stunned. Blood ran from his scalp. You. He tried to speak, but fell to his knees. At that moment, police officers stormed the warehouse. Police. Hands on your head. Thomas tried to get up, but 2 officers immobilized him on the ground. She attacked me, he screamed. They attacked me. See? But Veronica entered right behind, holding a tablet. We have everything recorded, she said. Hidden cameras in her car. Caught everything. The confession. The assault. Everything. Thomas's face paled. No, that's illegal. It's completely legal when there's suspicion of violent crime, the detective said, entering the warehouse. Thomas Davis, you are under arrest for blackmail, assault, attempted murder, and we are reopening the investigation into your wife's death." As they led him away in handcuffs, he looked at me with pure hatred. "This isn't over," he snarled. "It will never be over." "Yes, it is," I replied, my voice finally firm. "Today." When he was put in the police car, I collapsed into Robert's arms. "It's over," he whispered, hugging me tight. "It's over." But as I hugged him back, I knew there was still much to resolve. Our marriage. Our trust. Our life. But at least now, we were alive. And free. In the following days, Thomas was formally charged with the recording of the confessions and Amanda's testimony. In addition to the reopening of the investigation into his deceased wife, he no longer had any way to escape. The police also found a safe in his apartment. Inside, there were USB drives with recordings. Recordings of all the women he had been involved with, including the one who had disappeared. The video showed him brutally assaulting her. He wasn't just a stalker. He was a calculating predator who documented his crimes as trophies. He was sentenced to life in prison. Finally, I breathed a sigh of relief. But there was another challenge ahead: rebuilding my life. Sophia returned from Portland a week later. When I saw her at the airport, I ran to hug her as if I hadn't seen her in years. "Mom, I can't breathe," she complained, but she was smiling. "Sorry. I missed you so much." In the car, on the way home, she asked, "Is it over?" "The dangerous man?" Robert, who was driving, replied. "It's over, Princess. He's in prison. You're safe." "And you too?" she asked, looking at both of us. "Are you okay?" Robert and I exchanged glances. "We're working on it," I replied honestly. In the following days, Robert and I started couples therapy. It was painful. Reliving all the betrayals, all the hurts, all the distance we had built over the years. "You both stopped seeing each other as partners," the therapist, Dr. Helen, observed in one of the sessions. "You became roommates who shared responsibilities, but forgot to nurture the marriage." "I tried," I said, tears streaming down. "I tried to talk, I tried to get closer." "For how long?" Robert interrupted, his voice tense. 1-2 weeks? And then you went back to autopilot." "And you?" I retorted. "When was the last time you asked me how my day was? When was the last time you really looked at me? I was working to support our family. Our family didn't need money. It needed you." "Stop." Dr. Helen intervened. "You're both right. And you both made mistakes. The question now is, do you want to fix this or do you just want to prove who made more mistakes?" A heavy silence fell in the room. "I want to fix it," Robert finally said. "But I don't know if I can trust again." "Me too," I admitted. "You cheated on me first, Robert. 2 years. 6 months with someone else. How do I get over that? And you slept with someone who almost destroyed us. Because I was feeling dead in our marriage. Then maybe." Robert paused, taking a deep breath. "Maybe we shouldn't be together anymore." The words hung in the air like a sentence. "Is that what you want?" I asked, my voice breaking. "I don't know what I want. I just know I can't look at you without remembering him. Without imagining you too." "Stop," I pleaded. "Please, stop. You both need time," Dr. Helen said gently. "Perhaps a temporary separation would be best. For both of you to process what happened and decide if you really want to try to rebuild this." Robert nodded slowly. "I think so. My heart broke, but deep down, I knew she was right. 3 months later, Robert moved into an apartment near home. Sophia stayed 1 week with me, 1 week with him. It was difficult. More difficult than anything I had ever faced. But it was also liberating. For the first time in years, I began to rediscover myself. I went back to painting, a hobby I had abandoned when Sophia was born. I started individual therapy, working on my self-esteem, my tendency to seek external validation. I learned that my worth didn't come from being a perfect wife or mother. It came from being Beatrice. Just Beatrice. Robert also changed. He started working less, focusing more on himself. He went to therapy, spent more quality time with Sophia. And slowly, very slowly, we started talking again. Not as husband and wife, but as two people who shared a history, a daughter, and mutual respect. 6 months after the separation, he called me for coffee. "How are you?" he asked, and for the first time in years, he seemed genuinely interested. "Better," I replied honestly. "I'm getting to know myself again." "And you?" "Me too." I realized I spent so much time being a provider that I forgot to be a person. Sophia asked me if we're getting back together, I told him. "And what did you say?" "I said I didn't know. That we were healing." Robert nodded. "You know what I realized in therapy?" "What?" "That I also stopped seeing myself. I blamed you for being distant, but I was equally distant. I immersed myself in work because it was easier than facing that our marriage was dying." "What about my betrayal?" I asked, needing to know. "Can you forgive it?" He was silent for a long moment. "I'm trying. Some days I can. Others, I can't. But I'm trying." "And you? Can you forgive me for my betrayal?" "I'm trying too." "Then maybe." He hesitated, "Maybe we can try together. Not as the couple we were, but as something new." "No rush," I added. "No rush," he agreed. We didn't get back together immediately. We continued living separately. But we started going out together again. Dinner once a week. Movies. Long conversations about everything and nothing. Getting to know each other again. Rediscovering what brought us together in the beginning. And a year after the nightmare with Thomas, Robert made me an unexpected proposal. "Remember how you always wanted to open your own architecture firm?" "Yes." "What if we did it together? Not in the same space, but I can invest. Help with the administrative side. You focus on the creative." "Robert. It's not charity. It's partnership. We were always good at that, be partners. Maybe it's time to remember that part of us." Tears filled my eyes. "You would do that?" "I would. Because I believe in you. And because..." He took my hand. "I want to see you shine. The way you deserve." And that's how Miller and Miller Architecture was born. It wasn't easy. The first few months were full of insecurity, doubts, discussions about boundaries and responsibilities. But slowly, we built something new. We were no longer the couple who hid problems under the rug. We were two imperfect adults trying to make something work. Sophia noticed the changes. She was happier, lighter. She saw her parents truly talking, laughing together, working together. "Are you two back together?" she asked one day, as the three of us had dinner together. Robert and I exchanged glances. "We're trying," I replied. "But differently this time. With honesty. With patience. And with therapy, Robert added, smiling. Lots of therapy. Sophia laughed. As long as you're happy. And make me happy too. Always, princess, Robert promised. The firm began to prosper. My designs gained recognition. Robert was incredible on the administrative side, and I finally had total creative freedom. But more important than professional success was what we were rebuilding: trust, respect, partnership. And love. A different kind of love from the initial one, more mature, more conscious, more real. 2 years after that night in the warehouse, Robert surprised me. I was working on a project when he entered the office with a box. What's that? I asked, curious. Open it. Inside was a key. A key? To our new house. Well, if you want it to be ours. I thought maybe it was time for us to start over. Not in the old house, full of bad memories. But in a new place. Just ours. Tears filled my eyes. Robert. I know it hasn't been easy. I know we still have a lot to work on. But I want to do it with you. I want to build a new life, the right way this time. Yes, I said, throwing myself into his arms. Yes, I want that too. We moved 3 months later. Sophia chose her own room, decorated it her way. For the first time, she had an active voice in family decisions. The house was bright, airy, full of possibilities. Just like our lives. I never saw Thomas again. I learned from Veronica that he tried to appeal his sentence, but without success. The evidence was irrefutable. The crimes undeniable. Amanda, the courageous woman who testified against him, was also rebuilding her life. We became friends. Sometimes we met for coffee, 2 survivors sharing their stories of new beginnings. Isabel continued to be my rock. My confidant. The friend who stood by me during the worst time of my life. And as for me? I learned that mistakes don't define who we are. But our choices after them do. I learned that vulnerability isn't weakness. It's courage. I learned that marriages don't die overnight. They die slowly, in small daily neglects. And keeping them alive requires constant work. I learned that forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. It means choosing not to let the past poison the future. And I learned that sometimes we need to get completely lost to truly find ourselves. 3 years after the nightmare, we were at Sophia's first exhibition. My daughter had discovered a talent for photography and was displaying her works in a small but significant gallery. Robert held my hand as we watched Sophia explain her photographs to curious visitors. She shone. Confident, articulate, happy. We did something right, Robert whispered. We did, I agreed, squeezing his hand. That night, when we returned home, the 3 of us sat on the porch, looking at the stars. You know that I know, right? Sophia said suddenly. Know what? I asked, confused. About what happened. With that man. With you too. I don't know the details, but I know it was difficult. Very difficult. Robert and I remained silent. And I want you to know, she continued, that I love you. Not despite the mistakes, but for having the courage to fix them. For not giving up. On yourselves. On me. On us. Tears streamed down my face. We love you too, Sophia. More than anything in this world. And thank you, Robert added, his voice choked, for forgiving us. For giving us this chance. You gave me life, she said, smiling. It's the least I can do. That night, As I lay in bed next to Robert, I looked at the ceiling and thought about everything we had been through. The mistake. The blackmail. The fear. The violence. The separation. The pain. But I also thought about the courage. The rebuilding. The forgiveness. The love that was reborn from the ashes. What are you thinking about? Robert asked, turning to me. How we almost lost everything. But we didn't. No. We didn't. He pulled me close, kissing my forehead. I love you, Beatrice Miller. The imperfect, courageous, incredible woman who makes me want to be better every day. I love you too, Robert. And I love who we've become together. And as I closed my eyes, wrapped in each other's arms, I knew I was finally where I was supposed to be. Not in a perfect life. But in a real life. With mistakes, successes, scars, and hope. A life we almost destroyed, but fought to rebuild. And that, in the end, was worth every tear, every battle, every moment of pain. Because it brought us here. Together. Stronger. Truer. And finally, truly happy.